I'm Kira Cleveland, and this is Human Intelligence. With my co-host, Ned Hayes, we talk about the importance of human creativity in the age of AI. Welcome to the future.
Hey, Kira, great to chat with you again. Last week, we ended by saying, gosh, this is all terrible. Next week, we're going to do something positive. So what do we have that's positive?
Well, unpopular opinion, but one that actually we have some really good facts for, and that is the world has actually been getting better over the last, 200 years? Ultimately, you hear a lot of news, a lot of articles and Instagram posts and all of, a lot of social media talks about how the world's getting worse. But I think we want to take some time right now and talk about how the world has been getting better. There's been things like over the last 20 years, people living in extreme poverty has almost been cut in half, right? I don't know what some of your favorite facts are on this, but let's say the number of deaths from natural disasters is 25% of what it was 100 years ago. So that's good.
And literacy has gone up. Entertainment, storytelling have gone up. I mean, if you look at 1870, for example, you had no entertainment except for maybe some traveling musicians, maybe some board games. Today, you have storytelling wherever you look, and you can get a good story just by turning on the radio, the television, the news, the streaming services. The wealth of literacy and information available to your average person has also dramatically gone up.
I like that. And one thing that I'm also really excited about as time ticks on, and I hope this number gets bigger, but percentage of the population living past their 65th birthday was only like 30% in 1870. And we are now up to about 77% of the population around the 2000s. So, I like those trends. I like more time on this rock.
Right. People live longer. People live better. As you mentioned, poverty and famine have gone down, even though we have a famine today in Gaza, for example, and Sudan. The percentage of people living in famine and endless poverty has gone down. And as I mentioned, the literacy rate has gone dramatically up. In the 17th to 19th century, it was 1/8 of the global population. And the world's literacy rate doubled in the next century and then quadrupled. So now 83% of the world can read, which was not the case, hundreds of years ago. So the access to information, the ability to take action, the ability to live longer, the ability to make the world a better place is there. And so part of the reason we're talking about this is that often these techno enthusiasts feel like they're fighting against a terrible world. And yet we think the world is pretty darn good and should continue to improve. So I'd like to talk a little bit about how we do that in the minutes we have remaining.
I like it. Absolutely.
So we had a little post on Independence Day where we mentioned ways to make the world better. Do you want to hit those up quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we imagine as we kind of are working towards creating a future that inspires us is imagining a future where humanity really is thriving, right? And that means that people are enjoying creative work and work created by other people and take pleasure in study and the history of human creativity. There's so much to learn from our past and our present, and creativity is such, I think, a foundational part of being human and humanity. It's hand in hand with curiosity. And I think those two pieces are foundational for building a society that is healthy and thinks critically and is safer and actually in that class of growth and thriving that we hope to be. We talk about pillars that we think are essential to making that happen. And, one of the first one I'm just going to touch on is fiction for empathy. That fiction is helpful for people to learn and experience empathy, like increasing their capacity for empathy. And as a writer yourself, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Absolutely. I mean, when you read stories from different perspectives, you're gaining the ability to step into their shoes for a minute and understand the world through their eyes. So you're exposed to different cultures, different ways of being in the world, different genders, different experiences of being human, and that grounds us deeply in our shared humanity, right? And it makes us more curious. And so, yeah, I think that art and fiction creates a web of curiosity and connectivity and collaboration between human beings.
I absolutely agree, and that's where I also enjoy the concept of art for purpose and well-being, right? For humans, creating fiction, creating art, handcrafted things, for us, it builds a sense of purpose or like groundedness
Hmm.
or well-being, connection to those emotions that we're feeling and outlets of expression for them. And I think that really helps us shape and change the world around us, like telling those emotional stories in an artistic, visual, expressive way. Have you found that to be true in your art?
Oh, absolutely. And what's fascinating to me is that as a creative person, as a writer, I find that my writing of fiction and creating artificial worlds actually helps to inform my technological thoughts. So when I
Mhm.
come to create a product, it's informed by the curiosity that I've gained by writing stories. So this goes to the fact that you only really have technological innovation in a culture that nurtures the arts. It seems like it seems like that the arts and science are often pitted against each other, but they are two pillars of one strong culture. If it resounds with curiosity and artistic expression, then it's a flourishing mecca for innovation. That becomes a vibrant ecosystem, right? And the ideas cross pollinate each other. So I see that as being our future, and I think, frankly, if we cede that ground to synthetic data, we aren't allowing for technological innovation to advance.
I completely agree. And actually, I think it's interesting how the world is sort of coming back around on itself in some ways. Because, if you think about the education system, for example, right after the Industrial Revolution, there was less of a focus on the benefit of manual labor education, right? The trades. There was this big push towards, college degrees and more of the philosophical and the business and the humanities. And then we've been going away from that. Like, you have a humanities degree, like how is that going to help you in a world? You should have business or
Mhm.
science or legal, right? Like, and what's interesting is in all of this, in this day and age, we're actually finding that we need people to go into the trades. We need people who are willing to do the hands-on things, and
Yeah.
we need people to actually start studying humanities because
Yeah.
there's a great question like, where do ethics come in a world of AI and AI companies? Like,
Yes.
and I know this is a topic near and dear to your heart too, but it's interesting how, like, once mocked for a humanities degree, we're actually going to start needing those more and more, in this world.
Amen to that. Yeah. Well, that's our positive note for this week. The world is getting better. You can help make it better. Study the humanities, be curious, and innovate. So, thank you for a great discussion, Kira.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ned. This has been fun. Thanks for listening to today's episode. As always, this episode is available online at humanintelligence.news. You can find out more about any of these news items and hear the complete interview on the extended premium version of our podcast at humanintelligence.news. Today's episode was produced by Ned Hayes and engineered by Muhammad Adnan. Our analog-only human-themed music was created for the Human Intelligence podcast by Josh Pinkston of Nature and Spirit. This episode, and every episode, is brought to you by the Human Intelligence Institute team. That's all for Human Intelligence today.